Crypto news for Render and FET, Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. If you guys don't know what those coins are, the AI narrative is going to be huge in this bull run. You guys should be stacking a little bit of a bag of Render, FET, and a few of the other coins that I talk about. But this is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. Almost as always, starting with Bitcoin, so you can kind of get a generosity of where the market might be heading. If you've seen my other video, I did a better explanation of it, but essentially we need to have a close above $73,000 and ideally outside of this black trend line to have that reversal start taking place and the market start taking off. April 29th is more or less when the Clarity Act is supposed to be passed or before then, and Bitcoin still has the possibility to drop down to $52,000. Let's start with FET, Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. Hopefully the SEO words get picked up by YouTube's algorithm. But we are looking at this coin because AI is going to be the narrative for the future. We clearly see that ChatGPT, Claude, and all those different AI agents are taking over people's jobs and the world in general. We have a downward trend line. This black downward trend line on FET, we have it touched once, starting it, second time, and more or less a third time down here, and the fourth time. So after that fourth time, we crossed over that black downward trend line. Essentially, in my strategy, that is where you'd be doing a little bit deeper TA and trying to understand, okay, is this the best entry opportunity, or should we be waiting to see if it hits this fair value gap? There is the possibility if Bitcoin pulls back for FET to pull all the way back here towards the fair value gap around the nickel and 0.06 cents. That's a possibility that would show that we are testing this downward trend line as support. Even if we adjust this slightly, we could say that we already touched that support. For example, we broke over the downward trend line, tapped it again, and now we are in the consolidation phase and still trying to build higher lows. We are getting overbought into the RSI. So if this pushes outside of the RSI range, we could expect FET to be pushing up to the 31-cent mark from its current 19 cents. And that percentage increase is roughly 50% increase in price. So for those of you who are not members, this is something that members get prior to the takeoff. A lot of these coins that I bring up are very valid, and a $10 investment for the membership, not only are you saving animals' lives, but you could spend another $10 and make back that $5 the next day. Or say you put in $100, 50% of $100, you got another 5 months of membership, and the membership is helping you make that money. I am not a financial advisor in any way, but I know when I see good coins and their potential. FET is extremely, extremely cheap at this moment. These two red lines are from previous history when we had a very low point. And we see, looking at the volume, a little bit of volume pushed this up to the 200 EMA, came back down, and then consolidated, pushed over that 200 EMA, and had a major pull upwards. So say you entered in right when it was crossing that, that's about a 461% increase in price, but it hit this orange downward trend line right here. And so since it hit that, it had the rejection, pulled underneath the 200 EMA, but then once it crossed over that 200 EMA again, came up for the third time, tapped that orange downward trend line, and broke it. And if you just held throughout that entire period, that's around 658%. But we're not done yet because the all-time high is all the way up here around 350, which in terms of percentage, that is 3,259%. With this altcoin season, we typically expect cryptos and a majority of altcoins to hit their all-time high and then double it. So say we hit $7 more or less, that's 6,700% from that entry point. However, we are at a higher point in FET at this moment. So entering now, you could expect this to be pushing up that 50%, maybe a little bit higher towards this black downward trend line, which would be anywhere from 50 to 100% increase in price, getting a little bit of resistance, pulling back, more than likely underneath the 200 EMA, testing a higher low than where we are currently sitting around the 0.14. And then after that, breaking over this downward trend line, holding it as support, and continuing upwards. So if you haven't entered a small bag or any bag into FET, I'm letting you guys know, even if you're not members right now, FET's probably a pretty good bet at this exact moment. Depending if Bitcoin does pull back or pushes up, it'll be very quick and rapid. We're not going to see this thing like pull down here to 7 cents and just stay in the mud for weeks. I don't think that's going to happen. The CM guppies thinned out. The 200 EMA is close. The water, like I like to say, we are hopping over that river, and there's nothing really stopping us from making that next step to the other side, being the 200 EMA. So 50% at your disposal. Don't take this as Neil says buy, because I'm not a financial advisor, but for members and non-members that are going to see this video, your opportunity is presented. So there's FET for you. Now let's look at render. If you don't know what render is, if you don't know what hash power is, essentially the way Bitcoin works is you need massive computers. I have like 6 paperweights that cost thousands of dollars. They don't mine enough Bitcoin now, but you need the power to mine the cryptocurrency, and then you can pay yourself in cash or whatever. But that mining power, render, allows you to do cloud mining. And cloud mining is, you don't need these $5,000 paperweights that I bought to mine Bitcoin. You can spend like $50, get a little bit of hash power. Essentially, cloud mining, you're going to either break even or over the course of 10 years, you're going to be in profit. But Render is a very good company for allowing you to buy the hashing power to make that profit. It's kind of like staking, essentially, where you set your money aside. It is going to give you rewards in the long run. Maybe the coin that you're mining, maybe you're mining Render, and Render goes from $1.80 up to $20 and then crashes, but it still stays at $10 after that. So the amount of money you put in to mine is it's well worth it. Render is an amazing company, and it's in correlation with the AI narrative. The first thing I'd be looking at for Render, I'm going to try and keep this video short because I get 3 minutes of your guys' attention, is this downward trend line. Right now it is about to break this downward trend line. When we zoom in, it had that major pump. And for the people who aren't members, I explained this coin to members back here saying, hey, this might be a good entry opportunity. I can walk you guys to the water. I can't force you to drink it. But for those of you who did heed my opinion and enter in at that roughly $1.35, $1.39, you're up 40%. So if you are a member, I mean, your $10 went to good use. Even if you put $100 in this, you made more than a month of membership with that one insight. So what can we expect? We can expect a little resistance, more than likely, because we got the 200 EMA lining up with a downward trend line. We are a little bit overbought, and we see that in previous history, just as this for a quick example, we did push out, and it had that nice push up, had a little retracement, and then tapped that line once more, showing like, for example, in the RSI, we push up a little bit more, come back, test a little bit. That would be essentially pushing up to the 200 EMA, coming in, and then we'd want to see it consolidate on top of this black downward trend line. If you haven't entered into Render, wait for that moment or wait for this to pull back a little bit. But Render is extremely cheap. It's extremely cheap for the utility, the great case uses. And if you are deciding to enter, even if it has a little bit of pullback at this dollar, we'll start at $1.89, you're looking at minimum like 300% potential, depending if Bitcoin moves up like 5%. 5% in Bitcoin can push Render up 325%. I would not put it past itself. Maybe it's 10% in Bitcoin pushes it up that high. There is some resistance here around 122 to 182%. Looking at previous history, just judging off of these resistance lines. But right now, it's not a bad bet because we got the W forming. We are a little bit overbought. That's the only thing that's concerning, is that down here in the RSI, we're a little bit overbought, and typically this retraces, giving us a little bit of consolidation and pullback and the opportunity to push over that 200 EMA and the downward trend line. When all that lines up, if you have not entered into render, this is essentially the area that you are looking to have your entry point. Phenomenal entry, great data backing it. Um, and I don't know what else to say besides, if you're not a member, become a member and you could get this kind of insight prior to the pump. So you'd already be up 30% and you wouldn't be worried even if it pulls back a little bit. You're waiting out for that 300% increase. And render's all-time high is $13 according to this chart, and we'd expect double that. So if you're entering in at that $1.8488 for its all-time high is 620% with altcoins and cryptocurrency season waiting to kick in. Once it hits the all-time high, we typically like to double it. So you can expect, if you put in $1.89, to get a minimum of 10 to 12x on your money. 1,275%. It can go higher than that. I wouldn't put it past it for render to go up to potentially even $50. The cryptocurrency market is very violent and is unforgiving for the people who do not invest in at these low price points. Phenomenal coins, FET, render. I'm going to create maybe one more video, and hopefully you guys become members so you can get this kind of insight and not miss out, not just staring at XCN or XRP charts. There's a lot of other coins that have very good opportunity and are extremely cheap, completely suppressed at the moment. Good luck. Have fun with it. 50% of everything I make goes to save animals' lives. And I will see you guys on the next one.